so inclined, because we are a voluntary organization, to take a seat, perhaps diminish some of the conversations in the back of the room, and have a little bit of decorum, which my understanding is this room has had its moments today. One of the things I like to tell everybody when we're at a convention is to remember, as much as we focus on bylaws, libertarians are much more interested in bylaws. So with that being said, we're going to have our presidential candidates come up and give a 3-minute introduction to themselves. This is the order. I'm going to list all the candidates in order. I would encourage you to remember, if you are a candidate, who is the person going beforehand. So we're going to start with Joe Jorgensen, Sorinne Ardeleanu, close. All right, Lincoln, she can fix me when he gets up there. Lincoln Chafee, Ken Armstrong, Dan Behrman, Vermin Supreme, Mark Whitney, Phil Gray, Adam Kokesh, Jacob Hornberger, James Ogle, John Monds, Erik Gerhardt, and Sam Robb. That order was determined randomly. We are going to get things underway. When we start, I'm going to ask the next candidate, when I call him to the stage, to come up and be on deck. So right now we are starting with Joe Jorgensen, and Sorinne is on deck.
Hi, I'm Joe Jorgensen, senior lecturer at Clemson University. Still recovering from a small football loss you may have heard about. But more importantly, I was Harry Brown's 1996 vice presidential running mate. Together, we worked with the National Party to double the size of Libertarian Party membership during those 2 years, the largest growth in Libertarian Party history. The reason we had the biggest growth in 1996 is because that's what we focused on. And we did it without giving up on our principles. We did it by remaining true to the party platform. We did it by focusing on benefits, something I learned as an IBM marketing rep, and then later while running my own company. Rather than talking about what excites us, we talked about what excites the voters. And we did it, again, remaining true to the platform. Turning America into one giant Switzerland isn't just the right thing to do. It doesn't just make us freer, it also makes us safer. Getting education out of the hands of the government isn't just morally right, it also improves education and gives choice to parents and students. Thank you. Ending the war on drugs isn't just the freer thing to do for liberty, it helps put families back together, and it saves lives. That's the message that I want to continue while I run for office this year. And I did it part of my campaign is by reassembling some of the very people with the passion and the experience of our growth in the 1990s. Steve Dasbach, who is national chair, is my campaign chair. Joe Hauptman, who helped me initially in the VP run, is now my campaign manager. And others from the 90s, again, with the passion and experience, are on my campaign staff. And that is our goal this year, to do that again. We have to increase membership in order for the party to grow. We need more people so we can have candidates at every level, state and local. Also, my campaign will directly help people running for U.S. Senate and U.S. Congress by sharing our research and helping them with practical reasons why the Libertarian Party platform is the way to go. My campaign is both principled and practical. I'm following the platform to the T and explaining to others why it's in their best interest. If you have not yet turned in your card, I would recommend if you include me in the debate tomorrow because I'd love to talk about it a little more. And you can see me out in the hall. I'll be around here tonight. Thank you.
Is it easier for you if I can stick with this one? All right, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Joe. A couple quick notes. The candidates are on their own 3-minute clock. So if you can hold your applause to the end, that lets them get a better message in. You can silently encourage them from the audience. But let's wait till the end, and I'll give everybody a chance to applaud every candidate as they get up here. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to ask the next candidate in line to come up and be on deck. So Lincoln Chafee is going to be on deck, and while we bring up Sorinne Ardeleanu. No? Ardeleanu. I'm working.
Hi, I'm Sorinne Ardeleanu, and I am here tonight because I do not have a choice. So, a little bit about my background. I am an only child of immigrant parents from Russia and Romania. My father defected here for freedom, and he taught me that it is nobody's business what I do as long as I'm not bothering anybody else. So, without knowing, I was raised with libertarian principles. My parents divorced when I was 3, and my mother tried to do the best to raise me on welfare, food stamps, and Section 8. Unfortunately, she used force, so I was abused until I ran away from home when I was 14. So about 20 years ago, I was thinking, why is it that people do what they do? Why do they harm each other? Why do they harm themselves? And that's when it hit me. It is our values. Because I wanted to prevent others having to go through what I went through. I wanted others to not feel that kind of pain and suffering and struggle, and I wanted better, but I knew that I had to be reasonable. And I realized the only way that I could possibly influence values en masse is if I run for the office of President of the United States. Because as president, I believe that I would have an opportunity to influence our education curriculums, because that's where our values come from. I would have an opportunity to influence healthcare, because that's where a lot of our beliefs around what is good and bad for us comes from. I realized that I'd have an opportunity to influence the media, because subconsciously, most of us are influenced by the media. We consider people in the media role models. And so about 10 years ago, I was disabled. I had very severe PTSD. I had back spasms and ulcers. I lost my voice. I was selling exotic cars. I worked for Bentley, Lamborghini, Tesla, Spiker, and there was no integrity in that world, and I couldn't do it. I was making really good money, but I was miserable, and I realized it's time to heal myself. It's time to figure out life. And so I began this journey of understanding natural laws. Because at the end of the day, we're all animals, we're mammals, and the same laws that apply to animals apply to us. And what I love about the Libertarian Party is that these principles correlate with natural laws. And what we're seeing happening in the world right now, or at least in this country, is government is interfering with the natural order of things. And so I am running for office to help free people, to help heal people, to help empower people, because we need reason. We need to look at logic. We need to work with nature and learn from it instead of against it. So I would really appreciate an opportunity to share more at the debate tomorrow. If you will consider writing my name in, I will be very thankful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sorinne Ardeleanu. Yes? Good. All right. Coming up, Lincoln Chafee, and coming to stage on deck is Ken Armstrong.
Well, thank you, Ken, very much. And thank you, California Libertarian Party. Great turnout here, and for all the work you've done over the years for the people. And I have a question. Does anybody know what a maverick is? Maverick is a calf without a brand. And I've always been in my political career unbranded. When I first went on the city council in my city in Warwick, Rhode Island, the establishment was putting in development in neighborhoods where the neighbors didn't want it. And yet the council was voting for it. I said, this isn't right. I'm going to listen to the neighbors. I bucked the establishment. It was 8-1 votes. We had 9-member city council. Over and over, it was 8-1 votes. Yes, I was getting outvoted, but I wasn't going along with the establishment. I was going to be the maverick. And then when I ran for mayor of the city, I was a Republican back then, they said, there hasn't been a Republican in 32 years, you're never going to get elected. The establishment, never going to happen. Well, guess what? I made it. I beat the establishment. I bucked the establishment. I got elected mayor, first Republican mayor in 32 years. It's a long time in a city. And then I went to the U.S. Senate, and Bush and Cheney were in office. And yes, I was a Republican back then, but I didn't agree with what they were doing. What Bush and Cheney were doing. First of all, it was a fiscal policy that favored the wealthy, hurt the middle class, and drove up deficits. And I wasn't going to be part of it. And again, this is the Republican establishment coming down hard on me. You got to go along with the program. No, I'm not going to have a brand. I'm going to do what's right for the people, what's right for the middle class, what's right for fiscal policy, what's right for no deficits, which we suffer under to this day. And then, of course, the Iraq War. The establishment, you got to do it. The mainstream media, both parties. We got to go. Saddam Hussein's a threat to the United States of America. Baloney. I didn't believe it. Buck the establishment, the only Republican to vote no on going into Iraq. And it costs us to this day in so many ways. Credibility, veteran issues, deficits, mothers and fathers that have lost their children, brothers and sisters. Gay rights, I bucked the establishment. My Republican Party wanted to limit the ability of people that love each other to get married. Of course I wasn't going along with that program. Civil liberties, they wanted to restrict our First Amendment rights. No, I didn't go along with the program. So I stood up as a senator for fiscal policy that we all can agree on, libertarians, against the war, protect our civil liberties, for gay rights. These are libertarian issues. Yes, I was a Republican back then, but I had a small L libertarian. Then I went to be governor, and I bucked the establishment on crony capitalism, on the death penalty, on a sensible drug policy, and so I asked for your support and your tokens coming up. This country's gone off the rails. Republicans and Democrats have done it. It's time for a third party. It's time for a change. Thank you.
Next candidate is Ken Armstrong. Dan Behrman, you are on deck.
Well, hello there. Yes, I'm Ken Armstrong, and I just wanted to reflect a little bit on lunch today because Manuel Martin was talking about how most of us become libertarians in the face of cold, hard facts. And you know that might very well be true, but to tell you the truth, for me, it was passion. So I stand here in front of you, a passionate libertarian. I've been a libertarian for about 22 years. I was in a leadership position in the Democratic Party of Hawaii, and the governor was a friend of mine. In fact, one of the first dates that I went on with my wife, I took her to a big party at the governor's mansion in Hawaii, and she wasn't the least bit impressed, and the rest is history. But I was forced to resign from my position of party leadership because I bucked my friend the governor on his tax proposal there and ended up collaborating with Tracy Ryan, who's been the perennial head of the Libertarian Party in Hawaii, and we testified before Senate. And I discovered 22 years ago that I was a libertarian and that I was passionate about it. And it's been an interesting road, but what I want to share with you is why you should be interested in nominating me, why you should be interested in hearing more from me. For one thing, I've got a lot of experience. I'm one of the two candidates with you right now who's held elected office, twice held elected office in Honolulu County. I've been a federal healthcare executive, nominated for Federal Executive of the Year. I've been a U.S. Consul representative to the Pelagi Islands. Muammar Gaddafi threatened my life. If nothing else, that should be a recommendation, right? When they told me that, I said, hey, why don't we just invite him over for coffee and talk about it? But the thing that I really want to share with you in my last minute that I have with you here right now is that I have discovered in the 9 months that Dawn and Earl and I have been on the road with Duke the Wonder Dog, that this is not the country that we're hearing about on Fox News and on CNN. This isn't that country at all. This is not the country that we're hearing about from Elizabeth Warren or Donald Trump. This is a wonderful country. The people in this country really care, and we have become passionately engaged in the process of freedom and democracy. Please share your tokens with me. I want to talk with you more tomorrow. Bless you.
Thank you very much, Ken. Coming up right now is Daniel Behrman, and Vermin Supreme is on deck.
Hello. Taxation is theft. Do we agree with that here? I was a little bit scared coming to California because I heard you guys like taxes, and there's always a new one. So I actually grew up in Los Angeles, maybe about a mile from here, and I learned a lot in Los Angeles. I learned that the entire government is mostly smoke and mirrors. So when I was younger, I got a lot of traffic tickets, and I started fighting them, and I started reading some more information about government that they don't really teach you in government class, and I thought a lot of this was conspiracy theory. This is too crazy to be true. I can't believe any of this. Fake courts, issuing tickets without jurisdiction, all this other nonsense. I couldn't believe it. But I hated traffic tickets, so I tested it, and I found out that actually, yeah, a lot of the courts that they use and the practices that they use are fake. And I decided about maybe 14 years ago to stop using a driver's license, to stop registering my cars. And I've been traveling all over the country, driving whenever necessary, buying cars, getting stopped by police and explaining it to them. And yeah, it turns out a lot of it's smoke and mirrors. So what's really interesting about this is that people buy it. And this is the same thing as the two-party system. It's all smoke and mirrors, right? Everybody thinks the two-party system, those are your two choices. Forget those libertarians. They're crazy. That's a third party. They'll never win. That's a wasted vote. But that's all smoke and mirrors. But this is what's really interesting. My campaign has set out from the beginning to figure out how do we get more people to the Libertarian Party, the party that believes we shouldn't live in this system of smoke and mirrors, the system that the people who believe that we should actually be free and take responsibility for our own lives and live our own lives. And I did a lot of research. I did a lot of experimentation trying to figure this out. And it turns out it's actually really easy to get Democrats and Republicans to come to the Libertarian Party, not just as Democrats and Republicans in the Libertarian Party, but as libertarians. I'm talking about people who are far left Bernie Sanders and Andrew Yang supporters to far right Trump supporters. It's pretty easy to get them in here. The only thing is, a lot of us, have you ever had a conversation where you tell someone taxation is theft and it ends in a fight? Because they're like, no, that's wrong. We need to pay for roads. We need schools. What about the children? It ends in a fight, but that's not because of them. That's because of you. It's the conversation. It's where you lead the conversation after you tell them taxation is theft. And what my campaign has done is we found a really great way to effectively turn Democrats and Republicans into libertarians, because at the end of the day, as so many people have said before, most people are libertarians, they just don't know it yet. We found the right way to bring that out in them. So please, with your support, write me in on your tokens, and I'll see you tomorrow at the debates and tell you so much more about this. Thank you.
Next up is Vermin Supreme. On deck will be Mark Whitney.
Hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Vermin Supreme. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. As you may or may not know, I am a highly respected political satirist, beloved by millions around the globe. It's only mildly amusing because it's true. It's been a little over a year that I've been on the campaign trail when my campaign manager, Desiree Lindsay, reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to run a serious campaign. I gave it some very serious thought, and after weighing all the consequences, I agreed that that would be an okay thing to do. I would put myself forward as a vessel, if you will. It was 1 year ago that I addressed the crowd at District 30 Congressional District in Phoenix, Arizona. In the meantime, I have recruited an amazing campaign team. I have recruited an amazing Vice President, Spike Cohen. Give it up for him, everybody. I've attended numerous LP state conventions around the country. I've participated in all sorts of debates, and I even won the New Hampshire primary. Fact. I've drawn all sorts of media. I read my recent interview in Teen Vogue. I was covered in Business Insider. I've got endorsements from the state chair of New Hampshire, 2 vice chairs, the only New York elected libertarian, Deborah Altman. I have an endorsement from the Woodsville Volunteer Fire Department in Woodsville, New Hampshire, a real feather in the cap, I believe. And of course, I was also endorsed by the former executive director of the Republican Liberty Caucus, Alexander Snicker. Can you feel the vermentum? Now, once again, of course, I've been running a satirical campaign for over 30 years. I've run as a Republican, I've run as a Democrat, but in both of those instances, I was neither nor. I'm currently running for the Libertarian Party nomination because I am a libertarian. My campaign is libertarian in nature, and I believe that I am in a very good position to be able to present libertarian ideals and libertarian ideas to America at large. I have developed a rather massive online presence. I have been the subject of several documentaries, and I have developed a very large, massive audience of young people. And I believe that we can transfer this into a viable resource. I believe we can bring them in the party. It's all in the framing. Can a serious party put up a joke candidate? I believe they can. Yes, we are a serious party. However, the electoral system has turned into a little bit of a joke. With love and spite, here is Vermin Supreme. You can do it. Thank you.
Next to the microphone is Mark Whitney. Phil Gray, you are on deck.
Thanks, Dan. Hey, everybody. So I've got a 3-minute set. I used to own a comedy club. I'm following Vermin Supreme, and I'm pretty sure I just heard Lincoln Chafee say fuck 5 times. So I just want to say, fucking A, Lincoln, fucking A. I'm good now. I'm good. I'm Mark. I'm all about law, politics, and comedy. I actually owned a comedy club in San Diego for 4 years. I think that's probably my best credential to be president and deal with Congress, is that I owned a comedy club. See what I did there? So I also have a maxim. We libertarians, we like our principles, right? So here's a principle for you. If you can't get a laugh, you can't be president. That's it. End of story. Can't get a laugh, you can't be president. I would give you Hillary Clinton, Bob Dole, John Kerry. The list goes on and on. The 2 Democrats reelected in my life, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, they could get a laugh. Barack Obama got 3 laughs at the funeral of Joe Biden's son. I kid you not, they weren't jokes. It just lightened up the room. It's very heavy. The vice president had a kid die of brain cancer, a veteran. Everybody is heavy. And Barack Obama managed to lighten up the room. If you can't get a laugh, you can't be president. Let me tell you a libertarian story about my comedy club, the San Diego Comedy Co-op. My wife and I, we opened this comedy club because I wanted to get better at doing comedy. So I thought, I'll take my software company, I'll put it in an old warehouse. I rented it from a dentist. He got all his old dental equipment out of there, and we painted the walls black, and we put 100 chairs in, and we got some theater lights, and we put a stage up and a microphone, and guess what? Comedians came. And we produced over 500 free shows for the community. But when San Diego found out that we were gathering more than 50 people in one place without a permit, they started writing us letters. And my wife lost her sense of humor for the comedy club. And that's when we had to close the comedy co-op. I said law, politics, and comedy. I'm the only citizen in the United States to sue a president and end the participation of U.S. armed forces in a foreign civil war. I am surrounded by attorneys. I have 40,000 lawyers who subscribe to my legal research software. I'm a high school graduate surrounded by attorneys. 2/3 of the stockholders in my companies are attorneys. And last month, my wife, Julie, the next First Lady of the United States, she got her law degree, ladies and gentlemen, number 2 in her class. Big round of applause for Julie. For those of you who I haven't met yet, and you may be suspicious of me, you should be. I'm trusted by lawyers. Have a good night, everybody. I'll be here all weekend.
Next to the microphone is Phil Gray. Adam Kokesh, you are on deck.
Thank you, California Libertarians, for this opportunity to meet with all of you. Our country is $23 trillion in debt. No candidate on either side of the aisle has attempted to address it. They talk about it, they complain about it, they joke about it, but they don't do anything. I say we pay it off. I say we pay it off by allowing those who benefit to pay it for us. Let the undocumented worker pay to stay. Let those seeking entry pay for entry because they believe in America. I know that will make people unhappy. They are being deported. They are being locked in camps on the other side of the border, surrounded by carteles. They are not given a choice. I say let them have that choice. Every penny they pay reduces our debt, becomes available to loan to others. Those loans will pay down the debt. Those loans will leave more money in your pockets, in the pockets of the job creators of this country. The job creators are you. We are all the job creators. When we have money left over at the end of the month, we spend it in the community. That creates jobs. We need someone who will take on Donald Trump. We need someone who will restore America's word. We need someone who will restore respect for America. We can do this. We can do it together. I ask for your support. I ask for your token. I would like to tell you more. I have been in all over the country. I have attended 15 conventions. I have reached out to affiliates in 6 states. If we can carry 2 of those states, if we can carry 38 electoral votes, Congress will decide Donald cannot win without 38 electoral votes in his red states. I have been in Congress. I have been in every office offering my immigration proposal. I believe that I can be the voice across the aisles. Thank you very much.
Next to the microphone is Adam Kokesh. Jacob Hornberger, you are on deck.
Hello to my home state of California. Is it a good time to be a libertarian or what? Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, I was going to open with some really nasty personal jokes about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, but I only have 3 minutes, and every time I mention Hillary Clinton's name, I have to say, I am not now, nor have I ever been suicidal. And every time I mention Donald Trump, I throw up in my mouth a little bit. So we'll just skip ahead to winning for the Libertarian Party. You guys want to see the Libertarian Party win? Yeah. Win. Thank you. Win. Like that? All right, good. I'm in California, right? So we have an amazing slate of presidential candidates because we have an amazing party of people who are going to be delegates to the national convention, who are going to make sure that we have someone who represents what this party is really all about on the main stage. And we all agree on the basic principles. Taxation is theft, you own yourself, war is murder. The question is, how do we get there? And so I came up with a plan that can not only end the polarization in America, not only unite everybody within the Libertarian Party and get us over all of this factional, silly infighting. I don't know if you guys are ready for this. It might be a bit much. Get off Facebook. Oh, okay, I get it. That's not really realistic, is it? All right. So what I have seen is the way that we end Polarization is localization. Respect for the fact that different people, different Americans want to organize differently in their communities and want to live with systems based on their values that meet their needs. How do we give them that opportunity? Localize government, get it down to the community level. This is already what the American people want. If not voting was considered a vote for nobody in America, you know what the Electoral College results would be? Donald Trump, this is in 2016, Donald Trump, 21, Hillary Clinton, 72, nobody, 445. Let's give them what they want. It's going to be a great year for the Libertarian Party in 2020. We have a huge opportunity. I'm running because I'm sick of this stuff. I'm sick of all the evil that comes out of Washington, D.C., and I want to make sure that we have a candidate who can leverage national media, who can get in the debates, who can start with existing name ID, who can make sure that we communicate to the American people why people like you will get up and get out and stand up to the state to ensure nothing less than a world set free in our lifetimes. Thank you very much. I got free books on every place. If you want to get signatures, please come find me.
Next to the microphone is Jacob Hornberger. James Ogle is on deck.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with y'all at the California Libertarian Party State Convention. Why am I seeking your nomination? One simple reason. I want to be free. I want to know what it's like to live in a free society before I pass from this life. For 30 years, I've been advancing liberty at the Future of Freedom Foundation and in the educational arena. And they're not endorsing me, but you can get a sense of my methodology in advancing liberty by going to fff.org. But I've just gotten to a point in my life where it's just not enough. I want to take these people on directly. And that means the political arena. The people who have destroyed our freedom in this country, and that's both Democrats and Republicans, and they both are jointly responsible for what they've done to this country. They've got a system of mandatory charity that's socialist in nature, a vicious and destructive war on drugs, a foreign policy that has brought death and suffering to people all over the world, and that has eviscerated liberty here at home. A war on immigrants that has brought death and suffering in a police state right here on the border. There's only one way out of this morass, and that's libertarianism. I believe that the greatest asset of this party are our principles. Our principles are everything. When I served on the platform committee in the 93 terms, there were people on the platform committee that said, we need to water this down. We need to delete provisions here because they're costing us votes. And my position was, are you kidding me? These are our assets. This is the way that we get to a free society. This is how we show the virtues of freedom, the meaning that freedom brings to people's lives when they're not being harassed and abused and jailed by the state for engaging in purely peaceful behavior. And it is the only pragmatic solution to the crises and chaos that Democrats and Republicans have brought into our land. Our principles, which makes our principles the practical, pragmatic solution to where we need to go as a country. Our principles are everything. We are not Republican lights. We are not Democrat lights. We are not socially liberal and economically conservative. We are libertarians, and we need to fight as libertarians. Our principles will lead us to a free society. I want to be your spokesman. I want to make the case to the American people of why we need a free society. And that's why I'm here at this convention, asking for your vote and your support.
Next to the microphone is James Ogle. John Monds is on deck.
brought my art here. My name is James Orlando Ogle, and I'm running for U.S. President or Vice President and National Secretary of the Libertarian Party. My name will be a certified write-in coming up on March 3rd in California, and people can write in my nickname, Google, because a friend of mine calls me that up at Fisherman's Wharf, since Google derived their name from my email address around September 15th of 1997. So everyone's phone has my name on it. It's called name recognition. And I want to try to take advantage of that. Well, in 2012, I also ran for president, and there was only one primary which fell before the national convention. The state of Missouri allowed the Libertarian Party presidential candidates on there, and my name, a Libertarian, won with 52.8%. Gary Johnson's name was on there as a Republican. And because we're a team, we got behind Johnson. Voting is a peaceful decision-making alternative to force and violence, an alternative to civil war. And what I was bringing, the reason why Google discovered me was because I was using a new voting system known as pure proportional representation. I happened to get the correct mathematical equation in 1992. It was developed by a Swiss physicist. And that basically it gives you percentages. If you get, say, 3% of the votes in any election, you might get, well, you do get 3% of the electoral college, or whatever election you're running in. So the way it works is you absolutely must use consecutively ranked numbers, beginning with the number 1. And you must eliminate single winner districts, and you cannot run as a single party for a multi-winner district in a plurality election. So Johnson-Weld, Libertarian, that actually is the mathematics for a two-party system. So should I be nominated for either president or vice president, I want to proclaim to be the one party. It would be the Libertarian for president and the one for vice president. It would be the Libertarian 1 2020, because I like the sound of that. One more thing, when I started this project, it was on April 1st, 1995, 350 people voted online using DOS. 125 presidential candidates were consecutively ranked, and Harry Brown, the Libertarian, won. Colin Powell was number 2. So thank you very much for your time and your consideration, and thank you everybody for coming in.
James. Next to the microphone is John Monds. Erik Gerhardt is on deck.
I'm John Monds, and I'm running to be the Libertarian Party's nominee for president. My background is I'm a native of Detroit, Michigan, but I've lived for the past 20 years down in the small town of Cairo, Georgia. I have a degree from Morehouse College with a concentration in banking and finance. But for those last 20 years, I've had the dream job of my life. I've been a stay-at-home dad and a homeschool parent. And two of my students are college graduates. My daughter's a senior at the age of 19, and I have one son who's still at home. I've been married for 22 years. Why am I running? I'm running, I've thought about it for a number of years, but the inspiration and the thing that took me over the top to join the race was to honor my great-great-grandparents who were actually enslaved in Georgia. I could not sit on the sideline and not participate in a race and on a platform to make sure that we end the amount of slavery that's being reinstituted in this country and all the things that are going on around the world. What's my message? My message is this. I want to deliver a principled libertarian message and a campaign that the Libertarian Party can be proud of. At the end of the campaign, we should have a candidate who is not confused with a Democrat or a Republican. The people should be very clear on what a libertarian stands for. Now, like the previous candidates, I think we have a great field. We're talking about ending these wars immediately. We're talking about bringing the troops home, ending the federal income tax, getting government out of education. But it's how we deliver that message. And how would I do that? First of all, I've had experience. I've run campaigns in the past, and I've had the honor in my 4 campaigns that I run as a Libertarian to garner over 1.8 million votes for the Libertarian Party. I've been on national debates. I've been on televised debates. And I've been in a situation when I ran for governor to actually force the eventual winner to take my position and actually sign a law in support of it. And that was Sunday sales in the state of Georgia. I forced him into committing that if the law was passed, he would sign it, and that's exactly what he did. So we can win without necessarily having to win the election. Where will I take my message? I'm going to take it to everywhere. I think I can reach out to communities that aren't traditionally libertarian, and I've done that in the past, and I'll speak to anybody and everybody that's interested in hearing the message. I ask that you put me in a debate. I can go into more detail of how and what I'd like to do. Visit my website, monds2020.com, and if this resonates, please donate. Thank you.
Next to the microphone is Erik Gerhardt. Sam Robb is on deck.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erik Gerhardt. I've been doing construction for the last 17 years of my life. I'm 34 right now. I'll be 35 in April, just making it to run for president in this term. My plan is to get our children the education that they truthfully need. There are too many different and stupid ways that they're dumbing down the education system, starting with the lowest grades, with taking standard arithmetic and using bubble math. And then later in higher grades where they have to learn more advanced math, they have to go back and relearn arithmetic. It just makes no sense that you have to do something twice. Then from there, you gotta teach them some life skills. You gotta bring back home ec. You gotta wood shop, crafts, tradesmanship. Like, I'm a tradesman myself, and I know even if you learn it in lower grades, my dream for down the line is I want to open my own trade school for master craftsmanship, because 4 years is not enough to become a master or an artisan. You need years beyond that. Other than that, with the war on drugs, I'm not for legalizing everything. I believe that if it has a medical benefit to people everywhere, it should be reclassified as a medical herb so that you can keep your gun rights and they don't have the little bit of leverage to take that away from you. And it's already been proven it's a medicine for a lot of things. When I'm talking marijuana here, they have new studies on mushrooms with the psychedelics for dementia patients, and we could be giving them the natural remedies that actually work without the addictive properties of opioids and all that. That all has to go. Taxes are just way too high for everyone. They can't go higher. I have clients from millionaires down to people who can barely pay their bills. And this is the reason I'm running, is I just can't stand that people I work for, care for, get to know, can't pay their bills, or they're choosing food or their rent to keep their house. And if they have to get charged more, they'll just break their back. The government will come in, take over. We'll have federal housing, and pretty much just turns the whole country into a prison state. And we all know that can't happen. My scoutmaster back in the day, he told me something I didn't know when I was 14, that if, he said, there's always got to be somebody left behind. And I didn't realize what he meant by that. Was that A good leader stays in the back to help the people around him be better. He wanted me to stay and form my scouts, and the leadership right now, we need a good leader to step up and do the job. Thank you.
Erik. Claim it. Somebody was up here with the phone. Next to the stage is Sam Robb.
Okay, so I've got some good news and some bad news. Who wants to hear the good news? I'm the last one that you have to listen to tonight, okay? The bad news is that you do indeed have to listen to me. I am a preacher, a teacher, and a software developer from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, city of bridges. And if you look at the candidates that we've had up here already, you've heard it from us before, heard it from a couple of us. This is a great group of people. We have a bunch of passionate individuals who believe about liberty and want to communicate that message to America. And any one of them would make a fine presidential candidate. We all have different talents. Some of us are great at fundraising. Some of us are great at organizing. Some of us are great with policy. But I think what we really need right now is a communicator, someone who can reach the disaffected voters out there. And make no mistake, this is not talking about going out and getting them to vote for us. This is a search and rescue operation. They are out there waking up and realizing that they are lost in the political wilderness. The things that they thought were true around them are no longer things that they can rely on, things that have vanished into the mist. And just like someone who's lost in the wilderness, we can't expect them to wander in out of the cold. We need to go and reach them where they're at. We need to find them and show them the way to the Libertarian Party. I mentioned in my brief intro, I'm a preacher. You want to talk about someone who's used to going into hostile territory? You want to talk about someone who's used to getting up in front of people and maybe saying something that might make them a little uncomfortable? That's my skill set. That's what I've been working on for the last 15 years. And with your help and your encouragement and your support, I would like to take that ability and use it to go out and, just like I preached the gospel for 15 years, preach liberty to America. Get the people to think about where they are and then show them that libertarians are willing to come alongside of them and to bring them in and bring them home to where they can belong. Sam Robb, samrobb2020.com. I'd appreciate your support, and I'd love to have your votes. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I assume you all recognize this box. I want to congratulate Mimi on her choice of box because it's a box of pens, but it says on here, rewriting your expectations. That's what we're doing. That's what the people here assembled are committed to doing. We are committed to rewriting the expectations of the United States. Americans currently expect a government that tells them what to do. We're going to show them freedom. I'm going to tell you one more thing before I ask you to give a round of applause to everybody who stood up here. There are only 3 parties in the history of the United States that have had ballot access in consecutive presidential elections: the Republicans, the Democrats, and the Libertarians. And that's definitely something to applaud, but our string was broken in 2008 when we lost 50 state presidential ballot access. And we didn't get it back until 2016. So we are going to start our string again this year. We are going to have 50 state ballot access, but we need your help. We have petitioning field teams in the fields right now. Mike Bloomberg is currently spending $15 for a raw signature. For those of you who have petitioned before, you know how that changes the market. That means that we've had to call on some of our best activists to get out there and to make a difference. Right now in Maryland, there are teams that are out there. They are going to state fairs. They are going to metro stations. They are going to grocery stores, and they are gathering signatures. We are paying them. The Libertarian Party is paying to make that happen. I need you to help us. lp.org/ballot access. If I can get $100 from every person in the room, that sustains us for another month. and it's a critical thing for us to do. Showing people that we are going to change their expectations, that the Libertarian Party is going to change the country, that's on us. That's on all of you. That's on the candidates who were up here beforehand. And now I would ask you to give a very generous round of applause for all the presidential candidates who came up here.